where as a vegan, for their tofu and all their other bits, there are millions and millions of animals are destroyed in the farming world with all the pesticides, all the leakage into the rivers, killing all the fish and all that side of it. So where the vegans get on this high horse about looking after animals, what about all the rabbits, all the small mice, all the various other parts of our food chain are being wiped out because someone wants some tofu?
So, guys, welcome back to another episode of Vegan BS. Today, we've got a really exciting discussion for you. I'm joined today by Carl from Carnivore Nation, and Carl is here to help me discuss how diet can make you feel and look younger. Okay, so Carl, how are you doing?
I'm very good. Nice to see you again, Dave. As I say, when I was vegan and I lost a lot of weight, I aged, and as you can see from here. But obviously, once I went on to carnivore.
Oh, is that not your real face? So oh my goodness! Wow. So, how you've been carnivore for a long time, right?
Yeah. I'm now coming up to around a year. So as I say, when I hit my mid-50s, I'd become morbidly obese basically, and they were trying to get me to recognize that I was diabetic, and they wanted me to go on statins and things like that, and it terrified me. So I tried veganism for quite a few months, and I did lose a bit of weight, but I was always hungry, and I seemed to lose all my friends. And I realized it's vegan, where when you go carnivore, you meet again. So I felt that was more of a better option for me. So, and I do love a barbecue. So
yes, well, that's a very nice play on words, but you just didn't do it hard enough. You need to vegan more.
Well,
more carrots, more tofu.
I'm all for giving peas a chance, but I just for me and the question I couldn't quite get my head around when I was doing veganism was why there was a need to have vegan bacon. If you don't want to eat animals, why do you then produce a product that looks like an animal product? I never could quite grasp that. So I felt that was very strange and very odd. Obviously, one of the issues that I have, obviously, with plant-based diets is, if, with the exception of probably gambling, every other addiction is plant-based. You think about it as marijuana, smoking, alcohol, all the various drugs are all plant-based. Now, I found that when I became a carnivore, I couldn't go to the back of the pub and see if I could find a guy knocking out some ribeyes, and can I have a quick sirloin steak, a couple of ounces of sirloin steak. So to me, meat was the right answer, and my health and everything that I've done has just improved massively following the carnivore lifestyle.
Well, you see, this is where your argument falls down in a heap of burning bridges, because alcoholism, drug addiction, smoking, all of that stuff, it makes you feel good, right? It's plant-based and makes you feel good. So where's your argument?
Well, let's go back through history, right? Because we're as good as our former generations. I never saw any paintings of vegetables on the caves. And also the clothing, I don't think there was many cavemen wearing grass skirts. So obviously the animal-based diet is suitable for the human diet.
Well, I don't like this line of questioning because it's devastating to my argument.
See, the other thing is, in my younger days, I did judo at quite a decent level. I was quite competitive, and I went abroad and did competitions internationally. And then obviously when I sort of grew, as I say, I went from judo to sumo. But since I've been back on the carnivore side of it, I've gone from sumo back to judo. And the fitness side of it has just been phenomenal. I mean, look at these abs. Look, also the wrong camera. Look at these abs. I mean, You
They're
can't get that
fantastic.
from a vegan diet.
Well, you know, okay. I mean, I can't say that I have abs, but it's done a lot for me. It really has done a
Sorry, my
lot for
lunch has
me.
just turned up.
I hope you're not going to eat him.
No, he's too cute to eat. Although he does like my steaks. Say hello,
Ah.
Donald.
Oh, wow. Look at his cute face. What's his name? Donald.
Donald, yeah, don't ask. Not my choice.
So the thing is, maybe I don't have abs, but I have had so much pain relief by going vegan, right?
Well,
I I used to have arthritis really bad in my back. Since I've been vegan, it's gone all the way to my knees.
that's amazing, isn't it?
My back is cured.
See, everyone says the carnivore diet's expensive. Now, I found it saved me money. And the reason being is while I was vegan and other lifestyles that I was having, I had size 14 feet. And I used to have to get my shoes made because you just can't buy size 14 in the UK. However, since I've been carnivore, with the lack of inflammation, I've now lost 2 shoe sizes. So I'm saving myself money.
Yes, well, I don't quite know how to answer that one. It's
less leather.
I'm lost for words. Yeah, well, see, there's the problem. There's the problem, right? Leather. You know, if you were wearing plastic shoes, it wouldn't be a problem, would it? And then you wouldn't be killing any animals with your feet. Well, you know, when we've got a choice between plastic and brutally murdering these animals, you know, what are you going to do?
See, when you say brutally murdering animals, right? Me as a carnivore, realistically, over the course of a year, I probably would eat the equivalent of a animal or a couple of animals, as in, depending if it was a cow or whatever. Where as a vegan, for their tofu and all their other bits, there are millions and millions of animals are destroyed in the farming world with all the pesticides, all the leakage into the rivers, killing all the fish and all that side of it. So where the vegans get on this high horse about looking after animals, what about all the rabbits, all the small mice, all the various other parts of our food chain are being wiped out because someone wants some tofu? And that's not even taking into account the amount of forestry that's ripped up to grow coffee, the other items, you know, like in the Amazon and all that, and other, tofu is another classic one. And then you've got your wonderful avocado. Everyone loves an avocado. But what about the impact globally in getting avocados flown into Europe or wherever it is that you want them to have it on their plate, where I go to a farm that is less than 2 miles from where I live and I get my entire diet from there. I get my eggs from there. I get all my meat products from there. The only thing I do probably buy from a supermarket is water. But other than that, I can't understand why the vegans get on this high horse. So you can explain to me how that is a better option, because it wipes out Mother Nature just to grow some crops.
Okay, well, there's a few points here. Firstly, my high horse helps me avoid seeing all those animals so I can ignore them. Second, this line of debate is not good for me because it's devastating to my position. And I'm just not going to have this. You know, it's like I'm a young person. I was born into Generation Z, and I will not be microaggressed like you're doing to me right now.
I have got no problem with veganism. I think if that's your choice, that's fantastic. I realized I couldn't be one, but I know I could eat one.
So there you go. There you go. Now you're into just eating people. This is the trouble with you Gen Xers and even millennials. You had so many advantages in life, and now you're going to eat Gen Z.
No, as I say, I've got no axe to grind with veganism, and the fact that it gets people away from hyper processed foods is fantastic. However, I do feel sorry for vegans because, like, I do stand-up comedy, and when I'm in an audience and I ask a question, I ask them to do a show of hands. The vegans are not strong enough to lift their hands. It's just really sad, so they can't participate as much.
Look, I can lift my hand.
Yeah, both hands. Yeah, I like that. And then you got to feel sorry for vegans when they're dating because they can't go on dating apps because they refer to them as a meat market.
Well, okay. Again, these points are just out of bounds. I'm lost for words. So
it's unusual for a vegan to be lost for words because, you know, I always have to hear that they're a vegan. I don't go around talking to people at parties and say, I had sausages today, you know, but I don't share that kind of shit.
Well, you see, it's important for people to understand we are a growing community and people should be catering to our needs. Like, for example, not throwing a party and just having all meat dishes and using milk and cream in everything, you know, they should be also catering to us. So we have to be a vocal minority, and we are growing. We're growing very fast because people have seen the power of tofu.
Well, I think every vegan I've seen have looked like they've shrunk rather than grown. So I think the carnivore diet is much more in terms of growing people rather than the vegan.
I can tell you unequivocally, it's had a major impact on my girth. I am growing. This is just the way you're going to live forever.
See, the problem is that veganism becomes almost like an aggressive cult. I did do a thing on my channel about cults and tried to sort of bridge the gap between them. Every carnivore went, good points, valid points. Every vegan that came and visited my site had to argue, had to disagree, had to contradict, had to do it. Why are you so aggressive? I don't get it. You know, if you choose your lifestyle, choose your lifestyle. But Christ, don't ram it down my throat.
If we weren't disagreeing about things, then what is the point? What is the point to our existence if we're not there to disagree and push change?
Well, I think that the world is enough space for everybody. Just, you know, the carnivore world is, for me, health, fitness, everything about it. The energy levels I have is phenomenal, and I got none of that on veganism.
Well, again, you just didn't try hard enough. You know, you can't just spend a couple of weeks or a couple of years eating some lettuce and carrots and then expect to have good results. You've got to commit. If you don't commit.
So how is it within 4 months I had the results had completely reversed my diabetes, my blood pressure was back to normal, my resting heart rate of a teenager, my weight was back down to my normal area, to the point that when I was 18, 19, in 4 months, and in the previous months, I've been able to maintain it. I've been able to try other different types of styles of the carnivore diet, including the lion diet. I've even tried the sea lion diet, which is basically, you know, ruminal and fish. And my skin is far superior. I did a video clip about where I had cancer removed and how my scars and my skin is healed and all that. I never got any of that in veganism. All I got was hunger pains.
Luck.
See, I had this...
It's just you were in the right place at the right time. That's all it is.
Oh, right. Cool. See, I had this discussion with a vegan, clearly a vegan, on one of my posts that I did. And he kept coming back to me saying, I think you did it wrong. Were you not using enough grains, or were you not using enough? Because vegan is the cure of the world. And I'm like, not for me. It wasn't, sunshine. Thank you for your advice, but I'm happy where I am. But no, he comes back and back and back and constantly tries to correct my errors.
Well, of course, because you've got lots of errors. Well, you think it worked for you. You think eating meat works for you. Like, for example, I'm going to prove you wrong now. Give me an example of what your menu was like during the day when you were on a vegan diet.
Right, quite simply, I would have a porridge in the morning, made with water, not milk. I would have a salad, of various sorts of salad in the daytime, which I'd eat a lot of salad, and in the evenings I'd get a tray of vegetables and I would roast the vegetables. So I'd have carrots, parsnips, I would have tomatoes, peppers, all sorts, roasted in the oven with herbs on. Very tasty, no problem with that side of it. But by midnight, I was still snacking, and I was constantly hungry.
Well, that's your problem. You're snacking. Why were you snacking? What are you snacking on? More vegetables?
Yeah, carrots. I was having salad, tomatoes. I was constantly hungry.
Well, if you're overeating just because you're doing your Bugs Bunny impression, it's like, what do you expect? Why don't
But
you
I was having
try?
whole grains. I was having cereals. I was having breads, which are homemade breads, because I don't like shop bought breads because of the additives that they put in them. So I was having plenty of food that should substantiate me through the day, and I was constantly hungry. I could never eat enough vegetables.
Well, you just weren't doing it right. Where was the tofu?
I used to buy that
That's
from
got
the
lots of
supermarket.
protein, very satiating.
It was not at all, and it was honestly like I was eating, well, I don't know, plastic. Really, it's got no taste to it. You have to add flavor to it to get anything out of it. When you have a piece of meat, and I have my meat quite rare, the flavor that you get from meat is phenomenal, and it can fill you up. I mean, my poor bulldog would really have suffered on a vegan diet where he gets a chunk of my meat that I can't eat because, after a while you just get so full. He gets annoyed that I might not have another meal for another 24 hours because I'm hungry, where he's hoping to get another piece. But it's honestly, it never satisfied me on a vegan diet, and I never felt good. I felt tired. I felt lethargic. I never had the energy to do things. On carnivore, I go for a run. I have so much energy, as you can see, like now, with me now. This is the energy level I've all through the day. I'm sleeping less. I'm not snoring. My relationship with my wife's improved because I'm not getting sent to the spare room by about 1 o'clock in the morning because of my snoring. I'm sleeping better. I'm waking earlier. I'm getting more work done because I've got such high energy levels. Never had any of that on veganism.
So, just to take a step back, not only are you eating dead cows, you're barely cooking those dead cows. So a good vet could come along and get it back on its feet. But no, you're just choosing to consume it anyway.
I am indeed. And the cow is a farm animal. It's not a wild animal. It never was a wild animal. There were versions of it in the buffaloes and all the other type of breed. However, the cow only exists for the food chain because it is done because it produces meat. It's not, and for the milk, for the food products it produces, it would not have been a normal wild animal in the marketplace. The other argument is about the amount of land that is required for animals. Well, cows and sheep predominantly feed on areas where you couldn't grow crops anyhow. So that argument goes dead. Then there's the argument about water, the amount of water that a cow consumes. A cow eats grass or grain. Sorry, the camera. A cow eats grass or grain. If it's eating grass, it's from rain. It's from natural water sources. When that cow has eaten that product and produced it through its stomach to turn it, it either poos it out or wheeze it out, which goes back into the land. It's not suddenly, the water doesn't just suddenly disappear. Then there's the argument about the CO2, because cows do, they cause ethanol. But if you, there's a brilliant post on YouTube I saw recently where a cow will eat the grass, it will produce ethanol. Ethanol stays in the atmosphere for a period of time, and through weather, breaks back down to CO2 that then drops back down into the atmosphere that is absorbed by the grass and the trees. So it's a cycle. So it doesn't create extra. It's just a cycle. It's not an increase. Where a tractor on a farm is burning fossil fuels and that is chucking the CO2 that stays permanently into the atmosphere until, ironically, the grass or the trees can absorb it again. But the cow is recycling the existing. The tractor creates additional. So as far as I'm concerned, the environmental argument falls down. The damage to nature falls down. And eating meat, to me, has improved my health. So I'm having less drugs. I could have been on statins. I could have been on insulins and all that. So I'm not financing the drug companies. I'm not having drug companies producing stuff that creates CO2 and all the other emissions bit by making the drugs. And I am eating a pure meat or animal produce diet that is almost a recyclable element, because eggs are from chickens that make meat. It's a cycle. Again, a chicken wouldn't survive in the wild if it wasn't a farmed animal.
This line of argument is not conducive to good conversation because I have no comebacks. What can I say to that? I mean, drugs are good.
It's a real pain when facts overrule theory, doesn't it? So,
but my feelings are important in this argument, and you're not taking account of my feelings at all. And again, it's just aggression after aggression after aggression. And
if I'm coming over aggressive, it's not meant. I'm passionate, okay, but not as passionate as vegetarians who attack me on my channel because they feel that they have to force it on someone. I have not turned around to anyone and say, you must eat meat. I choose to eat meat because that's the choice I've made from the experiences I've had of trying different diets, from vegetarianism, from veganism, from all the various diets, as most people in my position have probably got to because of their need to find an answer. And the carnivore ticks the box for me. I'm not preaching to anyone, you must be carnivore, but I do get vegans telling me I must be a vegan. And that is about affecting people's feelings and that. So actually, I think the aggression is more on the vegan side.
Well, I don't agree with that. My feelings say otherwise. And why wouldn't you want to be vegan anyway? I mean, who's got the more luxurious hair out of the two of us?
That's very true. Yeah.
Is that carrots or steak?
Well, I don't think I'm not too bad because, I think I've got good hair for 82. So, I mean, I'm not 82, but I've got good hair if I was 82.
But you see, you just kind of wiggle out of all the arguments. As soon as I start winning, that's it. You're wiggling out.
Well, in all fairness, the diet that I eat, because I create bone broth, I have a lot of collagen. So my skin is, I don't know if you can see, is incredibly good and tight for my age, considering I've dropped nearly 6 stone, just under 6 stone, 5.5, nearly 6 stones in weight. So that's what, nearly 50 something, no, 30 or 40 kilos. And my skin is not saggy. It's all tight. It's all in the right place. I've already showed you my six pack with a bit of a help with a pen. But, and so I can't see your argument. My hair, I had grey coming in. That's pretty much gone. I've still got a few grey whiskers here, but they're all starting to go darker. So I think there's an argument against the veganism on the hair because the nutrients I'm having within the meat and the other products that I'm eating clearly is renourishing my body.
So let's look at it like this. Let's just look at it from this perspective, right? We have some of the smartest people in the world as people who promote eating a plant-based diet. We've got people like Bill Gates. We've got everyone in the World Economic Forum. We've got all these people working for the United Nations. We've got all these people, captains of industry. These people are clever people.
Okay.
And they're not saying eat a steak, eat a steak. They're saying we need to stop eating steak.
But a
We
lot
need
of
to
that
stop
is on.
flying around the world everywhere, like with reckless abandon.
Yeah, that's the classic. Let's put it quite simply this way. Give me an example of a carnivore that's gone vegan, because if you look through Hollywood and through various other famous people, there is a list of people that have gone from vegan who have now returned to a more carnivore lifestyle because they found that their health was capitulating. So can you name me a carnivore that became vegan? Thank you.
Michael Jackson.
It was always in good health.
I don't know. I don't keep track of details like this. I'm not the detail keeper.
Sorry, we shouldn't let facts get in the way of a good argument, should we?
Exactly. Cut it out with the facts. This is
not facts, it's fats.
You know, and next you'll be telling me saturated fat is good for you.
It's phenomenal. It's like superpower.
You see?
See, the flawed science is now with current science. So you got to remember, it wasn't that long ago, probably when you were young, they thought the world was flat and that the sun, evolved around the earth, So that was what science said at the time, and it was believed to be the case, right?
Mm.
Now, you look at the modern studies as opposed to the historic studies. Now, the historic studies, like from Ansel Keys, where he'd done his 7 Nations thing, who forgot to mention the other 22 countries that would have completely killed his argument about high fat, and the various other studies that went on, where they were pushing the whole healthy diet, the low fat diet, the low, the more high calorie, low fat, all that sort of rubbish jargon. You look at the science now and it's fallen on its arse. It's now being proved on a number of times that fat, which causes cholesterol is important and integral to the body. Now, high cholesterol mixed with other conditions can be a problem. But if you go down a diet where you take out the spikes in insulin and you deal with the insulin resistance and you take away a lot of the carbs, the other issues go away and the cholesterol does what it's supposed to do, and that is help create hormones. It nurtures the brain. That's why carnivores go on about being so energetic in their minds and so sharp in thought, because their brains are fueled properly. Hormones, there are Dr. Kiltz has regularly talked about people that have started to go through the change, suddenly went carnivore and suddenly found themselves pregnant because their fertility had massively improved. Again, hormone driven, which is created through cholesterol. True cholesterol comes from animal fat. End of story.
You see, here's the hole in your argument. Here's the massive gaping black hole in your argument. And that gaping hole is that if what you're saying is correct, economies will collapse and big pharma will go out of business. It can't be possibly correct.
Well, if people...
we need drugs to support the economy.
We're going back to the 60s now, are we?
Yes. I don't know anything about the 60s. I'm a child of the 90s.
Clearly. The thing is,
veganism has been good to me.
The meat farm has been villainized because of this whole push for high vegetable absorbent. The whole meat triangle and sorry, not the meat triangle, the whole food triangle is there. But who sponsored the research in those days? Who were the main thing? And it looks out, if you look a bit deeper, you see Kellogg's and the cereal companies and the food companies all sponsoring these research. And then you got the drug companies. Now, they've all got a conflict of interest because the findings have amazingly seem to support their particular area of the sector of the business in having higher grains, having certain drugs to reduce certain things. Where I have naturally, and I'm not alone, right? You've interviewed a number of people Dave Mack has interviewed a number of people that have shown a turnaround in health, and that has improved individuals and not been reliant on drugs, because illness is profit to these companies, health isn't. So as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather be in a healthy nation than in a sick one.
Okay, well, first, that Dave Mack is full of BS. He's got the most annoying voice on the internet.
Well, he's going to be full of BS because he eats meat.
See? See? You just keep proving my arguments. And the second thing is, of course, the studies are going to agree with the pharmaceutical industry. Do you think they would invest in these life-saving drugs, and if they thought that things weren't going to go their way? I mean, they're businesses after all. They have to dot their I's and cross their T's, or whichever way around you say it. It's, they have. It's just these arguments about facts and stuff just don't gel with me.
See, I'm a bit of a pain because I'm a stickler for facts. I'm sorry to spoil the party, but I do find that the research that I've done, and I'm starting a journey of doing a self-sponsored PhD across nutrition and seeing the impact of carnivore. And every study I've found so far, I found it very difficult to have an argument against the introduction of real meat, not manufactured. So when people talk about meat, and a lot of these studies that criticize meat, and the recent one that said about, oh, you got to stay for meat, is because they were talking to people that may had a burger or had a pizza with meat on it. It wasn't a pure clean meat diet like the carnivore lifestyle. So they distort the facts on that. But if you look at the actual facts, if you eat meat, you take away the carb, you take away the ultra processed foods, which vegans do as well. I'll say that for them as well. But you take out the ultra processed foods and you take away the processed meats, the meat carnivore lifestyle is, in my opinion, the healthiest diet by a country mile.
Well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this. But my advice to you, Carl, is you're heading down a very dangerous path of miseducation right now. And I think you should make a U-turn and be studying things like the benefits of tofu and carrots. Because that's where the real money is. That's where the future lies.
I'm sorry. I'm all for supporting farmers, meat farmers, and I will support them and continue to support them and fight their case, because they are being stigmatized at the moment, and it's totally unfair and unnecessary. And they produce a fantastic product that we can all benefit from. So I think I can't agree with the tofu because of all the other impacts it causes, from environmental to, through to who wants to eat cardboard anyhow.
Okay, well, let's just leave it at this. Why don't we have another discussion in a year from now? And I'm pretty sure that mask you were wearing at the beginning is what you're going to look like in a year, and I will be winning the Miss America pageant, despite not being American.
I'll be there in the crowd to cheer you while I'm eating me pork chop.